Speaking of aging, Joe Flacco's arm has not seemed to age, and the Browns rewarded him with a new contract for the rest of the season worth up to $4.05 million in incentives. I want to start with this question, then we'll get to they should have been a 2-year deal, which I know we're going to get to. But do you guys like how Andrew Berry and Flacco came to agreements on this incentive-based deal, which essentially pays him for wins?
Okay, but first of all, the way this has been worded, it makes it look like he doesn't get paid if they don't win.
Yeah, he
and
still gets a base per game.
Yes, he gets the prorated league
It's just
minimum.
heavily incentive-laden, which, by the way, it should be.
But I think that it's because of how late they are in the season. Otherwise, it's hardly anything. Like when you break it down to the league minimum, he only gets paid per game. So what do we got? 4 games left?
Yeah.
So it's a way to sort of juice the money. So he gets an extra $75,000 for every regular season win, and then you see it there as it goes throughout the playoffs. But I was talking to some people last night at the event. It's like, no, it's not you have to win to get paid. It's not like
that's essentially the bonus money.
Yeah, but the way it was worded yesterday in a couple places made it look like, well, sorry, Joe, you don't get paid today.
Yeah, his internship ended a long time ago.
Yeah.
He ain't here for free.
You don't win, you don't get paid.
The reason that, and I saw the same thing you saw, but the reason it was being reported that way was I didn't see a base number.
Yeah.
So I think that was done intentionally. The Browns weren't trying to deceive anybody. I think what the Browns were showing is, look, we'll be happy to pay him an extra $4.05 million.
Right.
And I think it's a perfect structure for a contract. I'm sure he jumped at it. And once again, his second question there, I asked after one start, do they need to sign this guy to an extension? Bernie, we asked yesterday, Bernie said, in my mind, that's done. Wow. That's done. They better sign him to an extension. And
I don't think that makes any sense.
The reason he said that is because, look, the price of the backup quarterback is unquestionably going up next year. Everybody agree?
No.
Okay, so I talked to somebody yesterday who covers this for a living, and I asked him that question because I wasn't sure. In my mind, I have what I'm watching, and I see that what's happened to teams. Look what happened to the Chargers. That's just one example. I can give you 5, I can give you 10. And what the way I posed the question was, is the market for backup quarterbacks going to go up next year? And it was a text conversation, so I can't imply anything. Absolutely was the answer. And then I said, why? And he said, just look around.
Okay, but here's
what's going on.
But here's where I would push back. So you're just going to give an extra $4 million to Joe Flacco or $5 million, but the pool is still limited.
It's the same pool.
Right. Yeah. There's still the same number of competent backups.
100%.
And then so there's not like there's magically going to be 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 new quarterbacks that are suddenly going to be worth $7 or $8 million.
No, it's going to be, and we've talked about this on the show because I brought this up a number of times. The guys that the league has flushed out, and the guys in the 30 to 33-year-old range. Now, I know that does not include Flacco, but the league has collectively stamped guys done. And it's typically because when they get into that veteran range, they don't want to pay that veteran salary to a guy that's been around because heretofore, they've looked at that position as insignificant. They're all the same. We can rotate them in and out. The Browns, I think, are a perfect example of why that isn't true.
I just think in the end, Jay, there's no reason to panic. He's 30. He's guy's going to be 39 years old. He's played 2 games.
Wait, what's the panic?
Signing him giving him guaranteed money for next year based on 2 games when he's 39 years old.
I wouldn't give him 2 years. I would definitely give him next year.
Right.
And
but that's
why.
2.
That's the amount of money that franchises willfully throw away.
But what is the rush here?
Is it the most important position in the sport?
Right, but I don't know. I don't even know if he's going to be good the rest of this year, let alone next year.
We don't. But here's what I can tell you.
Yeah.
Because I asked this question also to my friend. Is he going to be on an NFL roster to start the season next year? He's like, are you paying attention?
Well, what if he falls apart the next couple of weeks?
We have 4 more games to see
That's
what
what
could
I'm
happen.
saying. Why would you?
It's the same reason why would you sign Stefanski to an extension when you don't have to. The clock says you don't have to.
The price today is not the price tomorrow.
No, that's exactly right. And here's what he said.
You think
he
Joe
said
Flacco's going to get some big contract at 39 years old? No chance.
No, it's not going to be big bull. It's going to be a contract.
It may outpace. Same with Jacoby Brissett. It may outpace what you're
Jacoby
willing to
Brissett
pay.
didn't get paid that much.
What do you got? $8 million?
He got $8 million.
He got $8 million.
Flacco's not even going to get $8 million.
No, he's not getting $8 million.
So what I'm saying though is we did not think that
Guys, he's played 2 games.
But what I'm
Exactly.
saying to you
Listen.
is we did not think that
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett was getting $8 million until he played well, and then he got $8 million.
No, he did. Last year, when the offseason started last year, people thought he'd get more than 8
He
million.
got
He'd be a
6
definite
from the
starter.
Browns. The year before, you got 6.
Yeah,
so
well,
it went up
that's that
by
much.
2.
That's $2 more million.
Okay.
So I
not
think
a
the
lot.
point is Jacoby Brissett's the perfect example because he's the guy that in the past the league has sort of flushed out by now. So, and I don't mean the distant past. I mean in the recent past.
I don't know that I agree
He's
with
the
that.
kind of guy that, well, look around at the backup quarterbacks that are currently
Well, so
in the
who's
NFL.
a guy who should still be a backup?
Well, I'm not going to get into that because I think
Yeah.
there are a lot of guys that have already been flushed out in the last 5 years that aren't coming back.
But like
so
who?
now
Like,
it's
give me-
now it's
but
now
like
it's
who?
well,
But
I
like-
think Flacco's a perfect example.
But it's not
but
that
he just got flushed out at 39.
and it's
no,
not
he
that
was 37 when he got
No.
flushed out. He's not even 39 yet.
he's 38.
Yeah,
gonna be
he's
39 in a
38.
couple of
and when the
weeks.
league said no on him,
But they didn't lowball him. They just said go away.
that's exactly
But
my
that-
point.
but they didn't even give him
collectively
a
labeled
chance.
him as done.
But they didn't even
and
give him a
yesterday,
chance.
Aditi said they clearly made a mistake.
Yeah, they did.
Now, here's
From
the
Jay,
thing.
you
from what it
said
looks
guys
so
30
far.
to 35, and I'm like,
Yes.
where is this group? But who?
Well, Bull, we don't have them anymore. You know why?
But
we have,
who? Who's
we have,
been pushed out the last
Now
few
we have
years?
P.J. Walker.
That's one guy.
No,
There's
okay.
always been a P.J. Walker.
Like last night's a bad example because he played well.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell versus Stick Easton. That, guys, was an NFL quarterback matchup in an exclusive window. And what we watched with the Chargers, now
Yeah.
look, there's a lot of things going on with the Chargers.
Yeah.
A lot of things. Number one, the team has collectively quit on its head
But
coach.
Jay, I'm just trying to think of it.
Bull,
but who's an example?
I'm not going to give you examples, and here's why. I haven't thought specifically
Okay.
about that, but what I'm telling you, and I think this makes my point,
Yeah.
when you've got guys like P.J. Walker starting, are you going to tell me, really, that there haven't been guys in the last 5 years that have been flushed out of the league that had more experience, starting experience? This guy was in an off-brand league, and they brought him in.
But meanwhile, Jake Browning, who's gone in and played well, and I don't know. if
He's a perfect example.
But he hasn't played. We didn't know he was any good.
No, but he's been in a system for a long time. Now, maybe
But
Jake
he's never
would have been,
played a game.
I know, but watch. Jake
But you're
would have been
saying
a guy.
we need veteran quarterbacks.
Let me
I don't know why you
let
love it. You just said that to
let-
me.
let
You
me-
said
let
we
me-
need veteran
We
quarterbacks.
do.
Let
We
me-
do.
hold
But
on.
you can't give one example.
Let me jump
Gee,
in.
do you have an example?
Let me jump in and give you this. I'm not even gonna go across the league. I'm gonna just go
Yeah.
with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns had Jacoby Brissett last year. He played better than they thought. They gave him. They got 6. Came to offseason, he was a free agent. They offered him 2 more. He got 8. The price of the market went up. When you had quarterbacks that got injured, like Deshaun Watson,
Yeah.
the Cleveland Browns at the trade deadline went back to Washington, and they said, can we get Jacoby Brissett back? They said, give us a 3rd-round pick.
Well,
and all
we
this
don't
stuff.
know what they said. We don't know that for sure.
But here's the thing. But a lot of people reported that
Yeah.
the price was higher than they were willing to spend.
Right.
So therefore, you lost a player, and he got more money, and then the market ramped up to a point where he was bringing back more than you were.
No, he wasn't bringing back more because nobody was willing to pay that price.
So yeah,
Last year.
This year.
No. What
Nobody
I'm
was
saying
willing
is,
to pay a 3rd-round pick for Jacoby Brissett.
hold on, let me.
The bottom line is,
I didn't finish though.
Go ahead.
So the reality of the situation is, you have to learn from what you're having mistakes about. We had a situation where Deshaun Watson got hurt, and it looked like your season was over. There's a lot of teams who have $250 million quarterbacks. They're paying them God knows what. But yet, it's so crazy that you don't have, you're saying that you're paying them that, and it's important, but the backup to that same important position isn't worth $4 million?
yeah, but you.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I don't get that.
I'm not arguing that you shouldn't have a competent backup. I'm arguing that I don't have to lock into Joe Flacco, who's about to turn 39 years old after 2 games. Why would I lock into him now? First of all, he may not be the best option. Number 2, he's having such a great experience. I find it hard to believe that at the end of this year, if the Browns want him back, that he's not going to come back.
you don't think he's going to hit the free market?
He's 39
It
years
doesn't
old.
matter, Bull. It
What do you mean it
doesn't
doesn't
matter?
matter? He hasn't been good in a decade.
Is he
consistently?
Eye test. Has he looked like a
Does he still have the
38-year-old quarterback to you?
No, through 2 games.
Okay, so
but he hasn't
Bull-
played great.
Bull,
Let's
but
not get
here's
carried away.
Here's the point, and you made it. The
Yeah.
price goes up with each good performance.
So how
Yes.
much do you think Joe Flacco's going to get next
No
year?
idea, and here's why.
Yeah.
We don't know how is the market going to respond to what's happened in the league this year.
Yeah.
And here's my point. The vertebrae to my point is this. We've sat on this show before and said, well, the fact of the matter is, if Deshaun Watson gets hurt, our season's over.
Yeah.
No, because the Bengals said that when they lost their guy. And their season is not over.
Here's
Well,
the
they-
part.
And you know why it's
I
not
said it
over?
about them.
You thought it was over.
I said
We
it.
sat here
Yeah.
at the beginning of this season and said, none of this matters. Look, this is all Deshaun Watson.
Right.
If he gets hurt, our season is over. That's not true. And it's certainly not true in Cincinnati. And the reason I bring that up, I think that your guy, Browning, is going to be a perfect example of what we might see moving forward. By the way, I do like the fact that the Browns have drafted DTR and sort of put their flag in the idea he's that guy.
That's the part that nobody's paying any attention to. The Browns have their long-term backup quarterback. You may not want to hear it. It's DTR.
Right. So how did it work this year when DTR came in
Well,
for
he
Deshaun
was a
Watson?
fifth-round rookie who got thrown into a situation before he was ready. And when he came back the second time, didn't look bad.
What you're telling me then is the veteran at 38
Was better than
has
the rookie.
given this team a much better chance of making the playoffs and making a run than the first-year rookie has.
So are you going to?
And that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so then let's go a step further. So you're going to burn 3 spots on the 53 on a quarterback.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, how much?
And Bernie said, and listen,
And how much do you want to pay this quarterback?
that's going to be set by the market.
Well,
And
give me a number. How much do you want to pay a backup
what
quarterback?
is Jacoby Brissett's making $8 million, correct?
Okay,
Four.
No, he's making 8.
Well, I
He's
want
making
if
eight.
you say throw a number at 4.
No, I would even pay him more than that. But here's the thing. We all agree on this. It is the most important position, not just in football. I've always said it's the most important position in sports.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on that?
Nope.
Of course
So
not.
why would you spend, as a franchise, $45 million on that position, but not have a solid insurance policy as a backup?
Because until this year, and we'll see how it pans out in the playoffs, once your backup quarterback came in most cases, you were done. And we'll see what happens. It's been a weird year so far with a rash of injuries across the board. And the reason there's a couple of guys like P.J. Walker have played is because there's been more injuries this year to quarterbacks than we've ever seen in the history of the football
We have a
for
list.
whatever
We're
reason.
going to do this as a draft coming up. We're going to
Yeah.
list the backup
2
quarterbacks.
minutes, yeah. 2
But the
minutes.
bottom
And we're
line,
gonna talk
Gene,
about that.
You said Flacco gets paid $4 million, so what do they got to worry about paying him now for? He's only going to get $4 million.
No, that was the number he dropped, and he'd be comfortable paying.
Here's the reason why I
Yeah.
want it. We talk about on the field. The man knows football inside and out. I got DTR. Guess what? I feel like DTR can learn from him. You got Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson can learn from him. You got a guy that's in that room that is no rookies, no novices. He's not Josh Dobbs. He has cachet. He's almost the same. He's 3 years younger than Kevin Stefanski. The dude brings more to your team than just throwing the football. Look how the team
Aditi
plays.
said that, and Bernie said that. They
All right,
said,
all right. So what are you paying him next year? What are you paying him?
well, first of all, before we get to that point, that's why I would do it now. The market has yet to be set. And I asked the question, okay, so how much of an increase are we looking at next year? And he said, I don't know. The market will determine that. And I don't know that either. But what I do know now is there is a price for a good backup quarterback that we all have in our heads. It's going to be higher next year. It just is.
So let's pretend it's $6 million. Let's do it's between Brissett and what he's making now.
Sure.
For the sake of whatever, Jason, you're getting at, let's say $6 million for this.
Well, Dalvin Tomlinson cost $6 million against the cap, so there goes Dalvin Tomlinson because
No,
you want
it's
a
not
backup
an either
quarterback.
or.
No,
I don't
it
think
is.
It's an either or.
It is.
You know what it does? It puts a bigger spotlight on redoing contracts like Conklin. Like what? What was the urgency to do that? And we're talking about the most important position on the roster,
Well, the
and we're going to
urgency-
lowball him?
But you just said that the Bengals, the way they did it is right. And again, I have no idea. Jake Browning might suck the rest of the year. I have no clue. But they're not paying him anything.
Right, that's the best way to
So
do it.
if DTR ends up being the guy,
That's
they're not
why they're
paying him
doing-
anything.
that's
no,
why they're
for
doing it
now,
this way.
Browning
No,
is going
right.
to get paid. And,
No, he's
and you
not.
know what?
I don't
When
think
he's a
so.
free agent, he will. Do you guys remember Scott
You're basing
Mitchell?
that on 2 games.
Do you remember Scott Mitchell?
Yeah, teams have been smart since then and haven't paid him.
What the point that I'm trying to make that I think is falling flat on everybody but G. We all agree it's the most important position in sports.
Yeah.
We go all in to an inordinate percentage of your team's salary cap
Yeah.
on said player. And you're going to roll the dice with P.J. Walker?
Is Joe Flacco's not rolling the dice?
A hell of a lot less than it is with PJ.
It is rolling the dice.
One won a Super Bowl. One came from
He won the Super Bowl 11 years ago.
I don't care. He won it.
So let's bring it. Let's
So, and
bring
by
Brett
your
Favre
own-
back.
by your own admission-
So Brett Favre should play
That's-
quarterback.
By your
Terry
own,
Bradshaw.
no, by
What's
your
Terry
own
doing?
No,
admission.
he hasn't been a starter for 6 years, Joe
that's
Flacco.
disingenuous.
Give me him. Give me him.
That's
Roll the dice with him.
Then why weren't you saying it all year?
Okay,
That's
listen,
disingenuous.
I did say it all year.
Guys, we're not going to compare Joe Flacco to PJ Walker.
No,
that's
that's
disingenuous.
silly. That's
That's
silly.
not having a fair
was
dialogue.
comparing?
You said, well, PJ Walker's rolling the
No,
dice. Joe
PJ.
Flacco
I
is
didn't
too.
say it. You said PJ Walker's a roll of the dice. I said Joe Flacco's a roll of the dice. PJ Walker sucks. He's not a roll of the dice.
Right.
We
They're
knew
not
he
the
sucked.
same.
You made my point.
No, I didn't make your point.
Give me
I
Flacco.
understand. I understand.
Give me Flacco. At whatever extra million you're going to spend on him,
I'll take
give me
it.
Joe Flacco.
Okay,
And look,
but
Bull, he could fall flat on his face tomorrow.
As
week
he
4,
has each of the last few seasons.
he could get injured.
Yeah.
And that could be that. But what I'm saying is, so much is at stake here, guys.
Yeah.
I watched the Chargers last night.
I get it.
Without
Their
their
season's
heartbeat.
over. What's the difference?
I know it is, but
Yeah.
without their guy,
Yeah.
I watched a team that literally, this was embarrassing. This was the worst thing I've seen on an NFL field all year.